Kia ora everybody, this is Leonard for the Ultimate Growth Experience podcast. So today I'm joined by Sophie Vreeburg. She's a current law and global studies student. She's the co-director of Equal Justice Project. She's part of the Kidsline resource team for Lifeline Auckland, and she's also a fellow volunteer for the United Nations Youth as Welfare Officer. She's a scholar and also an aspiring diplomat. Hey, how you going?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
All good. So you, like many others at UN Youth, you have a keen interest in international politics and diplomacy. Is there a reason why you're specifically doing global studies?
So I've always had an interest in politics ever since I was a little girl. I've loved looking at the news. I was always fascinated by what was going on around the world. And I started off doing an arts degree at Auckland, and I just found it wasn't giving me as many options as a global studies degree would. At that time it didn't exist yet. But I've always been someone who's had a lot of different interests in a lot of different areas. Mm-hmm. So I was doing, in my first year, I was doing sociology papers, history papers, politics papers, and I kind of wanted to major in all of them, but I couldn't. You have to pick one and roll with it. And so when the global studies degree came along, it was kind of, I felt like it fitted exactly to what I wanted to do. So it's, cross course, which basically means that you don't major in a subject, you major in a topic, and that allowed me to keep doing all of the different things in all of the different areas that I was interested in. So I'm currently majoring in the global politics and human rights major, and it's allowing me to do a language, French as well, which is pretty epic. Mm-hmm. I think for a lot of people, politics is always a really good combination with law, but I think that a global studies degree is really just diverse in the sense that you get to have a little bit of a taste of everything. Mm-hmm. And whether that's going to bite me in the butt later because I don't know what I'm going to do with it is a whole different story, but at the moment I'm really enjoying it, so yeah.
It's a unique degree though.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's the first of its kind in New Zealand. It's definitely more in line with a liberal arts degree, and I think that's also what was so appealing about it, is the fact that, I'm wanting to take my degree, international, and I'm wanting to go overseas and work with that, and I think a global studies degree has a lot more scope to be able to do that. It's inherent in the name, global studies. I think you're expected to go and do something overseas with that. So I think, it's just something really different, and at the end of the day, it felt like a good thing to choose, and I kind of just went with my gut and thought, what have I got to lose? The degree of an arts reputation, or the reputation of an arts degree, at particularly in New Zealand, is very much slipping down the slopes, and I think while that's disappointing, you do have to start looking in kind of other areas and other directions. And when the global studies degree came along, I was like, I'm going to give it a go,
It's not a typical humanities topic though. It's very much foreign affairs, diplomacy.
It is, it's a lot more specific than a liberal arts degree. Mm-hmm. You've got your 4 different majors, and I think that was what's a little bit more appealing with it, because a lot of people go into an arts degree and you you major in a history degree, or you major in sociology or in politics, but with that comes not a lot of versatility, so you're meant to be a specialist in that particular field, although mind you, the way that Auckland Uni is kind of offering the art papers is questionable as to whether anyone's graduating being a specialist. Basically the global studies degree, you just get a bit of everything, and I think for someone who is interested in a lot of different areas, that can be a whole lot more rewarding, I think.
And you've made me question my own degree, because now I'm thinking, geez, why didn't I do a global studies degree?
I know, I have a few friends that question why I'm doing it, but then I also have other ones that go, oh, actually, that's really cool.
Correct. And I had a diplomat on my show, Fala, if you're listening, New Zealand diplomat, so we talked about a lot about foreign affairs before as well, but specifically, why human rights in your major?
Well, first of all, I did quite a few papers in first year that kind of fell under that branch. So for me, logistically, I didn't have a lot of other options. So the other major that I could have done would have been international relations and global politics. So that was an option, but I hadn't really taken any economics papers before. So once I kind of had a look at what papers I'd done, most of them already fit under the global politics and human rights major. So it kind of made sense to slot into that. And then I had to pick a language, and I chose French. Because of my family connection with that, and it's a pretty global language, so I thought that would fit in nicely. I think probably I just picked that major because it fitted in the best, and I think it's always quite funny because a lot of people want to do human rights and things like that, but at the end of the day, it's, human rights plays into everything, and everyone goes, another person who's, a global warrior trying to save the world
or the planet.
Exactly, which, people can laugh at that, and people can go, oh, that's nice and that's cool, and good on you, good luck trying to do that. But at the end of the day, if we all just don't think about that at all, or if there's, if people keep saying that we can't do that, then it's, it's not going to happen. And what I think is really, really cool about the global studies degree is it encourages you to make change on a local scale. So it's not telling you to go to Geneva and go and sit in the UN and,
or
try
Security Council or anything like that.
Yeah, things like that. And while that is, goals, it really encourages you to look at what you can do in your community and what you can contribute as an individual. And that's, by getting involved in projects that are happening or running one yourself. And we do an area study and a dissertation at the end of the third year based on our language and the area of the world that we've chosen. And we look at we look at a local issue and think about how can we, as students, tackle that. So it's very much trying to get you to think small scale, but in how does that small scale fit into the wider world and the bigger picture? So
makes sense. So speaking of global studies, were there particular heroes in your life that inspired you to head in that ambitious pathway in terms of not just your studies but also in the global studies degree? Because it seems like you're very passionate about all of this.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
It's funny because when we talked about this and you sent me these questions, I was thinking, who's been influential in that sense? And it's funny because I've always very much been my own motivator. That ambition has always come from me. I've never kind of thought, oh, I want to be like that person or I want to be like that person. And while I definitely have people that I look up to, definitely strong female characters in the world at the moment. Just read Michelle Obama's new book,
Nice.
Becoming, which is just incredible. And I would highly recommend anyone, if you're not into books, to read, listen to the podcast. Oprah does a really good interview. So
put that in the description.
Yeah, exactly. Strong female characters like Michelle Obama and Jacinda Ardern at the moment. While I don't agree with all of her policies and everything that she has to say, what she's doing in her own way is, nothing short of
remarkable.
Yeah, that's one word you could use.
I volunteer for you,
Yeah, no, exactly. But I definitely look up to those women. I've never kind of been like, oh, I want to be like them, or I want to be them, or because at the end of the day, if I'm going to strive to be them in that sense, I think I'm going to not walk my own path in a sense. And all of those women got to where they got to because they were their own motivators and they were ambitious in their own way, and there was people that didn't believe in them and people who spoke against them or things like that. And I think for me, I've always been very self-motivated. I definitely have to say I get that from my dad. They're not all female heroes. So yeah, my dad, I mean, he works so incredibly hard, and my parents have never put pressure on me or anything to do or perform in a particular way, but I have always, admired him for his hard work and how dedicated he is to what he does. So I think that's definitely something that's been instilled in me. I think that's kind of what's inspired me on this path that I am on at the moment.
So self-discipline, some parts of your female are heroes, and also the fact that you've just always been like this. I mean, you were prefect at high school as well, yes?
Yeah.
We can tell that. So what's it like being a welfare officer in UNUs? Because I've seen you consult and look after the young high school kids that come in.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, Sophie's doing a fantastic job here.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's actually, I kind of just fell into it. It wasn't really something I'd planned. So, one of my friends was doing UN Youth, and she was like, hey, look, we need some more people to help out at the conference. This is at the start of this year. And I was like, look, sounds awesome, sign me up. Yeah, and it kind of one thing led to another. Started at AMUN, which was a really fun experience.
Which is where we met, obviously.
Yeah, it was. And again, like you said, you meet so many cool people in that kind of area and in that field who all have the same interests as you. And I thought, what better than to volunteer in a space with people who were all heading in the same way and have the same kind of interests and things like that. So, that's kind of how I got into it. And what is it like being a welfare officer? It's very, I wouldn't say super hard, but it's more kind of demanding. It asks a lot of you emotionally, as well as physically, I guess, over the course of a couple of days. In the sense that you are constantly giving a lot of yourself to other people. So, excuse me, you are kind of making sure that everyone is having the best possible experience. And I was sitting with a delegate in the first at the first conference who wasn't having a very good experience, and I think for me, especially that first day, I just tried to put everything I had into making sure that they went away from our conversation wanting to kind of get more out of the conference. And it was so cool to see her come back the next day and kind of go, I'm here for a reason, and I'll be able to get through this. So, I mean, every delegate comes with their own struggles and their own background, so it's really important that we provide a really supportive kind of environment for them to get as much out of what they come there to do. You don't want to be worrying about, even though you might be worrying about it, but you don't want to be worrying about, things that are happening at home, or, if you are someone who struggles with mental health, that can be a particularly hard space. So just to have people there that, it's okay. If you're feeling a little bit down, or if you need to take a break, just come hang out with us. And then the other part of being a welfare officer is obviously the whole first aid side, which is, I did a first aid training last year, which was really cool, but it's never kind of been my area of expertise. So I've worked with a girl called Hannah Ward at NZ1 who was head of welfare last year.
And now you're the head of welfare.
How did you hear about that? Did you hear
your LinkedIn?
Oh yeah. No. That was at the tertiary policy, but
right.
Yes, may or may not be hearing through the grapevine about NZ1, 2019. So that should be exciting. I met Hannah Ward at NZ1 last year, and she was just incredible. She's a paramedic, and I have so much respect for her and the work that she does. It was just a different experience to try and kind of, because I'm used to that, the talking to people side, which comes quite easily, but then the kind of more medical side is a little bit harder for me. And I've definitely improved so much over this year in that sense. But I remember the first time, you know, a delegate came up to me with her bleeding feet because she was wearing high heels all day, and you have to like clean it up. I mean, I can do it, but it's just like, oh, okay, you know, that's another side of the role that comes with it. So
new challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really cool because I've been able to brush up on those skills and kind of, you know, get higher level first aid and things like that. So it's been a really cool experience. There's two sides to being a welfare officer. And yeah, they take a lot out of both of you, but at the end of the day, it's really rewarding and just a cool experience.
I'm sure you do a fine job afterwards as well, next year as well.
Thanks.
So, like myself and other guests that I've had on the show before, you are of an immigrant background.
Yes.
So what's it like balancing between your Dutch heritage and your Kiwi identity?
Oh, it gets tough when the Black Sticks are playing. Yeah. It's interesting, actually, because I'm getting to a stage now. I got my New Zealand citizenship in 2014, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's getting to a stage now where I've almost gotten to the point where I spent half my life in either country. And that's quite funny because sometimes you do think, oh, okay, you know, am I Kiwi or am I Dutch? And I do lean more towards my Dutch heritage because both my parents are Dutch and all my family's there. But it's just so hard when kind of your whole life is in New Zealand. So like all my friends, my work, volunteering, and all of those things are in New Zealand. So you do sometimes feel a little bit like you've got one foot in one country and one foot in the other, and it can sometimes I find it hard to kind of think of what my identity is, especially as a young person. And I know there's a lot of people in today's world that have that issue, and it's like,
including me.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you grow up in New Zealand, kind of getting to know who you are and getting to figure out your interests, and the environment that you're in very much determines what kind of person you turn into. And I always do wonder, oh, how would I have turned out, or
if we stayed back home.
Yeah, exactly. What would I have been doing, or what would I have been studying? Who would I have met? Who wouldn't I have met? You know, it's you always think that, and I think I am proud of my Dutch heritage. Like, when the Netherlands are playing the Black Sticks in hockey,
or the FIFA World Cup.
FIFA World Cup. Oh, I wouldn't be supporting the Netherlands at the moment. Yeah, no, it's sports is an interesting topic.
So now we go back to your professional side. You just recently got selected as the co-director of the Equal Justice Project. So tell me and others about the organisation itself and what sort of events and projects you guys do.
Yeah, cool. So basically Equal Justice is, Equal Justice Project is what the name kind of says it is. So we're a pro bono run student initiative at the Auckland Law School, and we're all about trying to get people to have access to justice equally in their community, whether that being through educating young people, or actually going out and having volunteers work in community law centres. There's a lot of different alleys which we kind of tap into. So we have 4 different teams. Access, which I was on last year, which was a really cool experience. We go out to high schools and things and do presentations about the law and kind of topics surrounding the law. So we do a multi and equity presentation. We do a civics presentation. We do, flatting and accommodations. How to deal with police altercations, things like that. I actually worked on a mental health presentation last year, which we didn't get to present because it was quite late in the year. But I'm hoping that'll be able to get run out into schools next year, which would be pretty awesome. And then we've got the pro bono team who do a lot of, working on research projects with lawyers. So they pick a couple of different people to work with, and then they have volunteers gaining that real hands-on legal experience, which is really cool. It's a lot more individual work, which some people really love. And then we also have community who, there are volunteers who go out into community law centres and, they basically do the hands-on, dealing with all the cases that come in, triaging them, helping lawyers with memorandums, all sorts of things, which is a really cool experience, especially because a lot of law school students don't get that practical experience unless, they get a clerkship or...
Which is rare.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a very tough kind of, and competitive field to get into. So if you don't have that experience beforehand, you can kind of feel a little bit like, a little bit lost sometimes. So it's really cool to be able to give everyone the opportunity to volunteer in a law centre, and we have about 60 volunteers in the team. So it's, a lot of people get the chance to do that, which is really cool. And then we have our communications team who, they run all of our social media, writing articles about, controversial topics. Just so you know, we are an apolitical group as well, so we try and give a rounded perspective on everything that we present. They do, they help with writing bill submissions and things like that, and just kind of getting our name and getting people to discuss those kinds of topics in the community. So there's a lot of stuff to do, and it's a very cool role to be able to work on, and I'm very excited to be able to step into some big shoes to fill from
responsibilities.
From the previous directors, and I definitely wasn't expecting to get it. It was more of a good experience for the interview, and before you know it, you get to the last one and it's like, hey, which is pretty cool. I've got a lot of work ahead of me, 2 long years, and it's not all glamorous and cool and schmoozing, although quite a bit of it is. But I'm just looking forward to rolling some of my own ideas out, and just working with the volunteers still, and kind of continuing on the great work that EJP is doing in the community. So
communication skills you've developed, you network with new people, you get exposed to new, and you get educated yourself, etc. So you're telling me that Equal Justice Project is a good way to start if you're a law student in uni, right?
Exactly. I would encourage anyone to get involved in EJP. It's just a really cool, like I said, it's probably one of the only ways in which you can get legal experience without a clerkship before you're a 3rd year or 4th year student, because we accept Part 2s as well, who are fresh into law school. For anyone who's listening who's got any questions, I'm available on Facebook if you have any questions, or otherwise feel free to have a look on our website, www.equaljusticeproject.co.nz, for anything else. So
and I'll leave that in the description, of course.
Thank you.
So you're the first person on the podcast who's doing work related to preventing youth suicide. So can you tell us about the experience that's been like so far, and do you have any good stories?
It sounds pretty cool when you word it like that, actually. So I've been working at Kidsline under Lifeline for a while now, and it's been a bit of a journey. It's pretty cool to go from being a little Kidsline buddy to where I am now. Youth suicide, it's a massive thing in New Zealand at the moment. And while it is such a massive thing, it is only quite a small branch of the work that gets done at Kidsline. So, not every case is related to youth suicide. And for confidentiality reasons, I can't go too much into the kind of things that we get on the phones. But I think it's definitely the way in which we are really, combating youth suicide in Kidsline is through kind of the message and the awareness that we're spreading with the young people who come through our doors and who are our Kidsline buddies. So, excuse me, any Kidsline buddy will tell you that, risk calls are rare, and they don't always get to take them because it just depends on the level of risk of the caller. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that we are spreading as a community at Kidsline is kind of, and it's our slogan, it's, it helps to talk, and it helps to talk about anything, and that, I think, it kind of trickles into down towards suicide. I mean, it doesn't always start off like that with the cases that we get. So you might get someone who's who's feeling anxious about exams or whatever, but when you kind of talk to them and make them realise at a young age like that, and I think that's why Kidsline is so important, is because we're targeting a really vulnerable age group. So while they may not present with suicidal symptoms right off the bat, they could just be anxious about, like I said, exams, or they might be feeling a bit sad, and they don't know why, and they can't explain why they're feeling sad. Getting them to talk about that, and getting them to think, getting a 12-year-old to think, who can I talk to around me, and who are my support people, and what do I like doing in my spare time, and things like that. Those are really important skills to develop from a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone doesn't have that support around them, we try and identify where they can get that support. Because we're a brief intervention service, so we're not like a counselling service, so we're not there for kids to call up. You're not, if a kid is more than welcome to call up multiple times and use the service more often, but they can't expect to speak to the same person every time. So it's very much a, how can we help you in that moment, in that particular time. Sorry, I'm just going to take a sip of water.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess we're basically just trying to spread that awareness of, it's okay to talk, and that eventually, I think, when you're instilling that into young people's minds and into kind of the community, and we're having Kidsline buddies who leave there and are able to talk to their friends and help them at lunchtimes and things like that, it's a really rewarding experience for them as well, and I think it just spreads the message into the community, and it allows them to keep talking, and it's kind of like a ripple effect. So if you've got someone who was a Kidsline buddy and is able to go out into their school and help one of their friends who they can see has some signs of suicide, whether that be suicide or even just anxiety or anything like that, it's already, you're already having an effect on one person. And everyone in New Zealand is connected by 2 degrees. So if everyone in New Zealand did that to a young person who they saw was feeling upset, or who they saw wasn't feeling as, onto it that day, imagine the kind of impact that we could have. And I think that's what Kidsline is about. It's about setting that tone and setting that kind of that feeling in young people's minds about, we can talk to each other about this, and to not have to get to that stage where they feel like there is no way out, because that's when it's hard to crawl back out of that. And I mean, it is absolutely always possible to come back out of that. For anyone listening, it always gets better, and there's always a way out, but you want to be the fence at the top of the cliff. You don't want to be the ambulance at the bottom.
Protective mechanism, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to have to get to the stage where you're picking up the pieces for 668 people who took their own lives this year. So it's about those little things, and I think that's what Kidsline is about, and those are the good stories. Those are the moments when a buddy comes off the phone and goes, yes, I feel like that person's gonna be able to cope tonight, and they're gonna be, they're gonna talk to their auntie tomorrow, or see a friend, or whatever. It's the little things like that that are really rewarding, and which I think are so important.
And it seems like you're doing meaningful work also, so that's quite good too.
Yeah.
So, back to your daily routine. What are your daily habits and micro habits like? What do you do? I know you play hockey, which plays a big part in your life.
Yeah. That's a funny question because it's like, well, like get up and shower. Yeah. Some of my daily habits. Yeah. I try and always make my bed. Doesn't always succeed. They say that people who make their bed apparently are more onto it.
Orderliness.
That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one thing that I do always do is I wake up quite early. I'm not really someone to go online till like 11 o'clock. So I always get myself into quite a good waking up routine. I find that I get a lot more things done in the morning. I'm a lot more productive. Because I think that's really important, especially when you're trying to get the most out of your day. Another micro habit that I have is, and this is a Kidsline thing, it's self-care. So I make sure to do at least an hour of it a day. So take some time for myself. Even during exams when I'm studying, I make sure that, you know, I switch off, or I go for a walk, or I go and watch, you know, an episode of whatever. Or, you know, one thing that I always find really helpful for my self-care is connecting with other people. So people I haven't seen in a while, going and getting a coffee, or, you know, just catching up on how they've been doing. Because it really holds me accountable as well. Like when you've got someone there who's like, "Are you doing too much work?" And I'm like, "Yeah, probably am."
But you're hanging in there.
Yeah, it holds you accountable, and it's so good for you to stay connected to people when you're, you know, you head deep into your study books, and you just sometimes need some contact with people. So, yeah.
So you use hockey and the time off, the self-care.
Yeah.
And the other thing to sort of basically make your mental state sort of in line.
Yeah.
Where you're focused and also you're having a time off sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like to say that I always do that, which would be a lie.
We all.
Exactly.
We all.
I think the most important thing is that you try and you...
Correct.
I think if you're going to be like, I'm going to, you know, meditate for 30 minutes every single day, I think you're just setting yourself up for failure. So it's like, you know, set yourself a goal to do a bit more of this or do a bit more of that. And then, you know, if you don't get there, try again the next day. It's, you just have to keep working at it. It's not like an overnight thing.
Incremental change and just looking at the progression rather than the perfection.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of my biggest weaknesses actually, is my kind of the perfectionist in me. And some people are going to say, you know, like whatever, perfectionism isn't a weakness. But it is, because you, for me, it's really hindered me in the sense that, I can't take rejection. I'm just, I mean, it comes in really, really harsh, and I personally think I overreact to it a lot. So like when something, when I don't achieve something, or when something goes against me or doesn't go too well, I can take that pretty hard. And so being a perfectionist, I've really had to learn to kind of accept that, you know, not everyone is going to like what you do, not everyone's going to like what you have to say, and I can't do everything the way that I want to, and it's like, it's affected me in, you know, in my personal life and in my academics and at home as well, with my parents. I try and do everything perfectly, but you can't. I think there's like a thing that you know, you've got sleep, social life, academics, and something, I think it's like
extracurriculars.
Social, extracurriculars, and I think you can only pick 3 out of the 4 or something, I
try to do all of them personally, but
exactly, but you can't do all of them perfectly, and I think again you're setting yourself up for failure. But it can be hard when it doesn't go your way, you know. I think I'm getting better at it.
And gratitude.
No, exactly. It's not all bad. I'm grateful for the things that I am able to do and am able to achieve, and the support that I have around me. So by all means, I mean, the perfectionist thing is by no means a big issue, but it is one that can sometimes, and I know for a lot of people, it can be like a fear of getting things done on time, and it can lead to a lot of procrastination. So people who actually they're afraid to start a project or to start an essay or to start on something because of the perfectionism, because they're afraid that they're not going to get it 100%. So I have had those moments as well, but you know, you get through it, especially when the essay is due the next day. You know, you just have to get it done, and sometimes it's not perfect, and sometimes you get a grade back and you go, yep, I deserve that, and sometimes you go, no, I don't deserve that, but you move on because you can't change it.
Correct, just learn from the mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
And grow from there.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing fine. So,
Thanks.
Did you have a low point in your life that you used to make yourself better in the future?
Oh, good question. Yeah, so I think like we talked about before, I've always been very, I recognise that I've always been in a
driven, ambition.
That's what, yeah. No, I was going to say, and I've always been in quite a privileged position in the sense that, like I've always been very lucky, and so I guess my lower points aren't those of other people, and I recognise that, you know, there is lower points. For me, the lowest low point was probably actually a couple of weeks after we moved to New Zealand for in a couple of years ago, and yeah, we just moved to New Zealand. We were living in Maraetai out in East Auckland, and it was just a really, really hard time because I felt like I didn't fit in. I was learning to speak English at the time. Excuse me. And it was really difficult because especially at that age you feel like, why aren't people accepting me, and why aren't I fitting in, and why can't I understand what they're saying? And you know, like I remember, and I don't know why this stuck with me, but I remember on the last day of school, because we moved there in November, so the school year had almost finished, so you kind of come in at a time where it's kind of like, you know, everyone's kind of done and everyone's got friends and whatnot. And we moved there, I remember on the last day of a term, all of the other kids got school reports, and I remember everyone was lining up and getting their school report, and I lined up and was like, expecting to get a school report as well, and like, because we'd only just moved there, I didn't, and I remember being really like, oh my gosh, like, and I don't know why that stuck with me, but it was very, I don't know, just like hurt for some reason, and I was like, oh, I'm not good enough or whatever. And I think that really, for some people it can get them really down, but for me it actually just gave me a
boost.
Yeah, it gave me a kick up the butt. You know, I just kind of went, okay, I'm gonna like show them what's going on. And you know, I put my head down those summer holidays, read a whole heap of English books, just kind of worked hard and was like, you know, like, you guys watch me, I'm gonna get my report at the end of next year. And I don't know, it just gave me a boost, and yeah, it kind of taught me to not really care. Also, well, to care what other people think, but just always take it with a grain of salt.
Correct.
Because people have opinions, and it's good to listen to those opinions, because if you don't,
and it can be irrelevant.
Exactly. And especially when you are still learning a new language, it can be very helpful to learn or to take people's criticism, which again I have always struggled with. But yeah, it just gave me the kind of the thing like, okay, you know, people can think what they want to think, but I'm gonna pave my own way, and that's where the whole, you know, who do you look up to kind of thing comes from. I was very much my own motivator, and I was very much like, I'm gonna do this myself. And yeah, again, it's not necessarily a low point.
But you used it. for the right reasons, correct?
No, definitely. I think probably a lower point or another low point would have been, at the start of this year actually, when my granddad was unwell, that was very weird, and it was a very strange time because my grandparents, again, fortunately, all four of them are still alive, but it's kind of the first time that I was faced with some sort of kind of potential loss, and that can be really, really difficult. But so grateful that they're all four still trudging through. So
healthy and alive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Got some fighters in the family, which is
Exactly.
awesome. Yeah.
Exactly. What are your aspirations for the future yourself? Besides trying to become a diplomat or maybe a lawyer or this or that.
Yeah, that's a hard question, and that's probably
or are you more of like a figure it as you go sort of person?
Well, I am and I'm not, because I mean, you should see my diary is like planned to a T. So I guess my aspirations for the future up until maybe like the start of March at the moment are pretty planned out. But beyond that, I think my aspirations are just to keep doing what I'm doing at the moment, and to keep kind of taking every opportunity that comes along and not saying no to anything. Again, also take that with a grain of salt, because sometimes it is good to say no. But just to keep taking every opportunity, because I wouldn't have thought last year at this point in time that I would be doing what I am doing now, and volunteering with UN Youth, and working with Equal Justice Project. So it's always funny when you look back a year and think, oh, what would I have imagined myself to be here, or to have met these people, or to have gone through these experiences? And I often go no. So I think it's very hard to plan out your future and to go, this is what I'm going to do. I think it's good to have guidelines. But at the moment, I think my plans for the future are just to finish off my degree.
2 more years to go?
No. At least 3.
3?
At least 3.
Okay.
I wish it was 2.
Okay.
But, at least 3. And to finish that off, at the moment, I'm just really enjoying that experience and that journey. Like, university is epic. It's like, you are learning about something that you are enjoying, hopefully, and you get 4 months off to do cool things and go on exchanges and do internships, and it's a really cool part of time in your life. So I think it's just one that I'm loving at the moment, and I don't have any concrete plans. Again, I would like to go overseas in the future, but if there's something here in New Zealand that keeps me here, a job or whatever, then so be it. I'm not gonna say this is where I'm gonna be living. I've got plans. I'd love to do a postgrad at some stage somewhere. Again, that'll depend on the opportunities that come my way, but I think at the moment I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing and doing these things well, so that obviously, yourself, that when you do something well, a lot of other doors open that you didn't know were there before. So I think if I'm just and this sounds very cliche, but just gonna be living in the present and doing what I'm doing now, and from that will come hopefully something cool. So,
and I'm sure you'll do that. Do you have any last advice for young women listening to the podcast who are entering university for the first time?
I think what I've talked about before, just take every opportunity that comes your way. And university, it goes by so quickly, especially if you're doing a 3-year degree. Just honestly, just take every opportunity that comes your way. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something, or that you're not good enough, because at the end of the day, you're the person who determines whether or not that is the case. And if you've already told yourself that that's going to be that way, then it will be that way. And very much your own attitude and your own hard work gets you to where you want to be. So by no means is it going to be easy, but I think if you put in the hard work, and if you do what you love, And whether that is, you know, whether you figure that out in your first year or in your fifth year, you know, it doesn't make a difference. Every experience that you go through is going to add something to the path that you're walking on. So every little thing that you do, every person that you meet is going to bring some sort of, you know, positive influence to your life. And yeah, I think one of the biggest things is just to, for anyone out there who's listening, to just know that yeah, it doesn't matter if you don't know what you're doing yet, you will, and it's just keep sticking and doing to what you love. And I mean, it does come along, and those things do come on your path, and I think you've just got to be open to who you meet and what you do for that to happen. So don't ever close yourself off to any opportunities. Yeah, and just go for it. Don't let anyone stop you.
And that's a good way to end the show. Sophie, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.